Hey everyone, I wanted to continue with some of my stories on the JodyVision uh, timeline, the one where I'm going to share about the slipping into the visionary state and some of the conversations I've had there. Now, in my last video, I was talking about the time I used to hang out with Jason, and so there's a few times like this where, I'd be in visionary state talking to somebody, and not actually being aware of it, and just and the funny, and here's the irony. So in the last video I told you my friend Jason was explaining what it is that is actually happening as it was happening, and here's the irony: is I had no idea what was going on. I just thought he's kind of a trickster. You can't always trust him, and he likes to play head games. And what I wanted to say about him, there's like a couple things like I thought, oh man, I'd forget about that. Like one time he invited me to the movies, and then as we were leaving, he acted like he wanted me to stay away from him. So somebody sprayed something on me, and so he drove me back to where we lived. But he was like, "Okay, now you get out of here and go take a shower. Somebody sprayed something on you." So I felt like he's kind of a trickster, and he's kind of mean spirited sometimes. And that's why when we were having this conversation, I just thought Jason's pretty smart. But there was a really humorous part where he brought up Bill Leeb of Frontline Assembly, and a couple of the things he said to plant seeds for later was like that, that he'd be living in my building, that he's in Denver a lot more than people think he is, but they just let people think they're in Vancouver all the time. And he told me, I would know Bill Leeb's around because I'd see somebody in a beige jacket and a red hat sometimes. Sometimes it'd be like this or that, So he gave me a couple of hints to look for later. But, he kind of gave me all these weird things like, it's not like he was telling me rumors that aren't really true. Like, Bill's bisexual and he's interested in both boys and girls in the age range between like 18 and 20, and his hair loss, and he wears women's underwear, and he sniffs coke and all this type of stuff. And of course I defended Bill the whole way. I didn't believe it one bit, but anyways, it's just hilarious. So I feel like the spirits that give me these visions have a good sense of humor, and sprinkling little details like that in there, some of which I kind of forgot about. But so anyways, that's the first part where I started going into visionary state and not knowing about it. So this is the year that I turned 23. It was 1998. And when I was much younger, between the age of 6 and 12, I would see Bill Leeb as a kid named Billy a few times here and there. And again, didn't know I was in visionary state. And so this all adds up later. And so that all kind of got quiet, and it didn't seem like there was much of that going on until now. And it started with Jason and this, what I consider to be kind of a humorous yet informative vision, because it parallels with the next conversation I'm going to have with Rosey, because she gave me a phone call and told me some of the same stuff. Now, I kind of want to talk a little bit about who Rosey is and how I got to know her and how it got to this point where she shouldn't have had my phone number, but she called me. So, and it was in a visionary state. And once I was able to talk to her about it, she was able to confirm that we did not have the conversation. So I have some pictures here to share of Rosey. Now, this house is not a home right now. It's just a place that I'm moving out of. So the only thing that I have to make it a home really right now is my little heap of stuff right here that you usually see. I like to put this stuff in my backdrop and make that my background, because this is the stuff I don't want to just stick in storage right now, because I got my CD collection, my photo album, and my tape collection. And so if I want to play my little synthesizer, I can plug it in. But right out here are some boxes of things from storage. So I've been bringing stuff from storage, like all this stuff. It was in her office. See, and I've got Rosey's name tag and everything. And I'm finding really interesting stuff like here. Like when we first started hanging out, I was hanging out with a guy from Kung Fu class named Xiaoping Gao. And so he wrote this down and gave it to her. And I'm just like, wow, I found this in that one of those boxes over there. In fact, I thought it was interesting because the very next thing I wanted to do was tell you guys about how I got this vision where Rosey called me up and she talked me into writing to Bill Leeb. And so I was trying to plan out this discussion, and one of the little pieces of paper I found in there, it said 2002, and it had some notes, music producer and all this stuff, and let's see, 6 years old, three, visions 3 times. So, but I think I had about 3 good visions I mentioned to her. Because what happened was, we met in Denver in '96, and she lived there for about a year or so, and I actually helped her to pack out. So she reconnected with her last husband, Howard. They'd like break up and get together over and over, and this time they got together and they went out towards Grand Junction for a little bit, and then they moved to Montana. So by the time this was happening, they were in Montana. There was no way she would have known my phone number. And we had this conversation where she kind of filled me in on all this stuff. And so after a while, as it piled up, I was just like, boy, I sure wish I had a way to get a hold of Rosey. And so finally in 2002, that's when I called her. So I thought it was really interesting that I found that little piece of paper that had some notes on it from, I finally got a hold of her, and I really wanted to ask her, if she had any connection to all this stuff going on, and she did not. So it took me that long to get her confirmation about this event of this phone call and all this stuff because, so if you've been following my story, I brought up like when I first met Billy, Rosey was the one. So it was Rosey and Howard was living over on the corner of E Avenue and First Street next to Tiffany Marvel. And so my parents took me over there, and that's where I met Billy for the first time. And Rosey's the one that's filled us in on how he's going to be Billy, but Frontline Assembly and all this stuff. And so that's why, I wasn't able to make the connection at first. When I first met her, I couldn't make the connection. And then we had this conversation in the visionary state. And after a while, it started sinking in like, aha, okay, that's what's going on is, the reason Rosey's trying to talk me into writing to Bill Leave is because she was the one taking care of him and stuff like that. So I have these pictures here I also wanted to share. I forgot to show those to you. Almost forgot anyways. And these are more recent ones. So back in 2017, so I'm looking like, what is that, about 6 years ago? My friend from Denver came up and paid me a visit, and he got this shot of me and Rosey. So Rosey's right there in the middle, and that's Gary. So that's kind of like her fourth husband. They never got married, but they were together for 7 years, and those are the 2 who died. And then like I saw, and if you've been following my stories, I was with each one of them as they died. So I came up here to be their friend and their caregiver. And this is Rosey with our dog Maya. Her daughter Sherry brought Maya to us in 2010 maybe. And shortly after, my mom came to join us. So by being up here with Rosey, I've been able to get to know the area. Like that is Lake 5, so pointing in the general direction of Glacier National Park, So so just to kind of point out who Rosey is to me, she's somebody that I got to know very personally. So like we met, stayed in touch, and then I moved to Montana in 2009, stayed here until she practically died right here in front of me. And it's been like a year and a half, but it's been a really slow going process just because like going through all of her personal stuff, like I have to decide what to throw away and keep. And I don't want to be too clingy and end up with a bunch of junk, but I'm inclined to keep this thing here with Xiaoping's information on it. It's kind of an interesting thing to find. I had, I really didn't expect that. Now the one with the notes on it, like 2002 and all that, I'm like, okay, I have to let this go. I can't hang on to all this stuff. But it was good confirmation because it's just that I was thinking about making this video, and I found that slip of paper. And this is what I'm going to talk about, and is that I got this phone call. Now, before that happened, let me see. So I was working a couple of good jobs. I had a part-time job working for the guy that was making the cool lamps and lampshades, and then he even gave me permission to smoke pot as long as I don't, go outside in the sidewalk and let the neighbors smell it. 'Cause that's what I did, and I got their attention. And when they reported it to him, he said, "Well, you're allowed to smoke pot. Just don't let the neighbors notice." So that was a good guy to work for. He was going to let me just be relaxed as long as I do my job nice and keep the place neat. Right. So And he was like an older guy, been in the music business and stuff like that. So it was kind of fun talking to him. And it was down in Lodo and or like the top of Denver, top of downtown Denver where I went to work for him. And then I went down a little ways, and then there was the ice cream shop. So I was part time at this ice cream shop, and it was a really good job. And I was just so depressed over the failure with Master Tay. And then I was unemployed, and I was starving, and I was being attacked by some sort of being, like I had broken up with my friend Dan, like he made, I thought he was stealing and lying, he let somebody in my house who was taking my 45s or something, and I don't know. So I just, a lot of heartbreak around that time. And then I think my friend Jason was working for the pizza shop with the guys from North Africa were running it. And they got me in there, and I was working there part-time, and then I was hanging out with my friend Jeremy at his place, and upstairs was some of his smoking buddies, and the girl was working for a thing called I'mSoSexy.com, and she was saying you could make a lot of money just going online and just, it's like you're live in front of people, but it just takes snapshots, and you can talk to them about sex stuff and show your privates and do things to get them to send you money. And I thought, well, I'm not really a promiscuous person, but I think talking about sex is really easy for me. It's not something I'm afraid of. And I thought, maybe it would be good for my my personal growth as an artist, because, some of my favorite artists like Cozy Fanny Tootie, has done things like that. Maybe it'd be good for me to just, be able to come out of my shell and be comfortable with myself and then get some money real nice and easy. And of course, I didn't get paid worth a damn. But in order to set that up, I needed to set up a phone line, and they brought me the computer, and so they brought me the computer, but I had to get a friend to get an account for me, and I had to pay it or else. And of course, I really feel bad because I think at some point I didn't pay it and it got shut off, but it was under another friend's name, and that's why. Rosey shouldn't have had my phone number. But yeah, at the same time, I thought I'd throw in there the reason I set that up was I was trying to do the I'm So Sexy thing. And that's where I started getting online and trying to see if I could find, the band site as well. So that could have been one of the things that slipped my mind that brought the wrong attention later. Because I'm just like, why do they think I'm trying to get Bill Leeb in bed? I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I forgot I started this I'm So Sexy thing, and I did go onto their page and then invited people to come talk to me because I just thought it'd be cool to bring in people that like my music, and I'm just kind of a dumbass, and I wasn't thinking what this looked like later on, right? So I just really didn't think Bill Lee was paying attention to that. But I just thought maybe I'd find some other Frontline Assembly fans or people that like my kind of music to talk to. Maybe I'll find a new boyfriend that likes good music. Anyways, I didn't really give that much thought at the time, but I'm going to talk more about this later. But anyways, that's why I had the phone line that was not set up under my name when Rosey called me. And when Rosey called, we started talking about stuff. Now, I didn't make the list, so I hope I don't have to go back. Kind of like with Jason, I kind of left out some funny details. So yeah, I had to bring that up, make amends. And so anyways, with Rosey, it was a little bit deeper, so I just want to make sure I don't goof this up, boy. Oh man, I'm starting to get thirsty. Yeah, so anyways, one of the things, of course, we'd like to talk about is the psychic awareness and spiritual, I don't know, paranormal. And she was kind of the person I'd go to if I had questions, and I had just been through all this stuff with Master Tay and told her, that, told her about the whole thing. And one of the things she told me was that, it hurt his feelings because he just really wanted me to trust him, but since I didn't, because I just felt like, I was telling her I was disappointed because it turned out that he wasn't a real friend. And that's because I was listening to all my friends tell me, oh, Jody, he doesn't care about you. He's just, he just wants to have sex with a young person, this type of thing. And so I was really kind of upset with Master Tay. And then she was explaining to me, that sometimes the higher we climb, the harder we fall, and that sometimes even angels learn to fall. And she said, in fact, there's a song called Prophecy that's going to be coming out by Frontline Assembly that has lyrics like that in it. And also, while she was on that note, Conjure One was going to have an album coming out using the phrase, grains of sand are all we are crawling on this manic star. So, and that's because we started getting on the discussion of time travel and space travel, and she was trying to explain to me that that those things are real, in fact, and that she's been all over the place, and that she's operating on a higher level where like she can see what I'm doing, but I don't necessarily see what they're doing, right? So that's what I'm thinking. You know, as I was talking to Rosie, I kind of realized she could be channeling, or that something was kind of odd about this conversation. So I felt like, okay, at this point here, I must be talking to a space traveler. At least that either that or maybe Rosie's been taking on space rides, because now Rosie's claiming to be a contactee. That she's witnessed a lot of UFOs. She's also been in contact with the extraterrestrials, and once you get in contact with them, then you have a continuous telepathic connection. So at times, she's able to, kind of ask a question and get answers. So that's where a lot of people kind of wondering if this is true or not. Like people in her family and stuff are thinking, she's done a lot of partying. She's had an accident. She's had a brain injury. She's taken a lot of painkillers. So, anyways, I'm kind of thinking that it was kind of difficult. Like, she's kind of like myself. Like, when she died, like, she really didn't have anybody, like, so I was the one that inherited everything. That's why I have all these boxes here and I'm going through all this stuff. I kind of, it's kind of like being in the position of her daughter or something. Just, I was the one that had time for her and cared about her life story and appreciate all this stuff. But at any rate, the really cool thing, by the way, just because like, she's the UFO contacting the family and no one believes her. People think she's just, kind of crazy or has dementia. Her daughter came by, her oldest daughter, and her younger husband, who's closer to my age. It's kind of funny. Her daughter's closer to Bill Lee's age, right? And so there's like a reversal of our age difference. But anyways, I noticed that like, he's the younger guy that likes older girls. Kind of, I don't know. I guess I'm the younger girl that likes the older guys. In the same age bracket, because these older people are kind of cool, right? Yeah. Okay. Anyways, I just thought it was really cool that they dropped in with a story about the fact that they had actually been beamed up and put down, like from one highway to another highway, and the woman changed her life. Like she got rid of all her stuff and went to Hawaii and just, I don't know, cutting everybody off and just, I don't know if that alien thing or what. And then her mom dies of cancer. But I was really glad that she got to come by and tell that story before her mom died. Because, like, so this is what makes Rosey different. Her name isn't really Rosey. That's more of an honorary name. Her last husband, Howard, named her Rosey. And Clear Light was an honorary name given Howard. Otherwise, I think her name was actually Marilyn. And she hated her name. Everybody wanted to name their daughter Marilyn because of Marilyn Monroe. And she had big boobs and all that stuff when she was younger. So it's kind of ironic, something that a lot of people probably don't know about Rosey if you're watching and you know her. But anyways, I get this phone call and she's filling me in. And it's like now she's talking like she's a space traveler, and telling me how, there's like lots of planets that have life on them. And there's a lot of these planets that are actually better than Earth, more beautiful than Earth, And there's so many that we're just like grains of sand, And that's when she started bringing up the fact there's going to be this song. Because, planets look like stars, So grains of sand is all we are, crawling on this manic star. So it's kind of cool. Like, so that was like a prophecy about a song called Prophecy. And then there was another prophecy, about a song called Manic Star in that conversation. And, but she was telling me, let me see another thing I talked to her about is, I think I told her about the demon attacking me, and a couple of other things. And that's when she was explaining, when the spirit world can reach you, then they try to reach you. And so you get all kinds of them, from the bad kind to the good kind. So you don't want to be too open-minded to anything that contacts you, So you do need to use discernment. If if you feel that you're being contacted by the other side, go with God is always the way, right? Anyways, I had this really vivid dream that there were like these 4 little demonic beings, and I was trying to swing my staff, like the one I would use for kung fu, at these beings, and it was just swinging right through them, and it was no good. And she's explaining that's not how you fight a demon, that you fight them with love energy, and your third eye, and this type of, not exactly sure what her explanation was other than that, but it almost seemed like, okay, sure, but just at the point being is that you can't, it's not a physical type of combat. It's through, through the heart and through the soul. It's not a physical fight, see? So, yeah, she always seemed to have a good answer about things. I'm trying to think a couple things that she brought up. I think I'm kind of wondering if this is the time she brought up earth changes, like that we're getting ready for earth changes. A lot of things are going to change, and that there's been Native American prophecies about this as well. So, it did make me eventually look into it. Just the earth changes, the prophecies are there, and that it's going to entail tidal waves, earthquakes, storms, fires, all the rotten things that could happen, and so I've never heard of this before, so maybe this is the first time this stuff really started getting brought up to me about the earth changes and getting ready for it and stuff. And then I'm just trying to think, like what all the stuff is we talked about, because like she brought up I don't know if I brought up Bill Lieb to her or not. Like, I don't know how we got on it, but she didn't really say Bill Lieb, or she didn't really say his name, but she told me that I have a soulmate and that he's known me all my life. Okay, and that that I need to contact this person or I may never see them again. And I told her, well, I've been thinking about contacting someone, but I really hate the idea of having to write a letter and what could possibly happen or what could possibly go wrong. And she said, like, well, you have to do this. And she's like, and you have to go online. And she's telling me I have to go online and try to write to them too. And I'm telling her I hate writing so much. And she's like, she told me you absolutely have to learn how to write because you have a lot of stuff you need to be able to share. You need to be learn to be a good writer because you have a lot of knowledge to share anyways, regardless of this one person. But you have to go online and you have to write. You have to write to this person or you're never going to see them again, So that's what she told me. If you ever want to see your soulmate again, you have to write to them. And boy, I can't remember a whole lot else from that conversation. So if I do remember, maybe I'll put it in the notes or something. But I think those are some key points there that I think I covered them pretty well. So I'm not going to repeat that. But point being is this conversation did encourage me to write to Bill Lieb, so I guess I got a P.O. box or something, like maybe on Robson Street. And to be honest, like I really didn't want to write this letter. I just felt so scared to write a letter like this and try to explain myself. But I did take some acid, and I always limited myself. Like I never took more than 4 hits of acid when I did, but I just felt like that way I can kind of use that to get the courage. And so I don't know if my handwriting was probably really bad and everything, but I think I just really tried to like get it all done and put it in the mail before I quit tripping, But it probably said stuff in it that I would have just said anyways. It was just kind of like how it's like you could give a bunch of people beer with no alcohol and they'll act drunk, right? That kind of thing. Like it doesn't matter. Like they just want to act drunk anyways, or or when you do give people buzz, they just act like they would anyways, and you find out who their true self. So like maybe me on acid, I'm just gonna say what I would have said sober anyways. Same thing, doesn't matter. But I'm gonna talk a little bit about of course, like my involvement with psychedelics and how much that plays into my visionary state, because it really doesn't. So I kind of want to talk about that a little bit, because now that I'm confessing that I've done acid, you're just like, oh, well, that explains everything. No, don't. So I have to do another video just to explain why it doesn't. And anyways, that letter did get through to Bill Lieb eventually, and I just so I'm going to talk all about how, like, I know that he got my letter, You definitely got it, and that kind of set things in motion. So that was very important. One of my visionary slips is getting that phone call from Rosey and having her talk me into writing to Bill Lieb, and then everything goes from there. So let me take a break, and I'll come back with another section of this crazy little story of mine. Okay, thanks for listening if you're here still. Bye bye now.